Happy Pride Month to Trump and Biden. ReactBot, do you think they will wish each other a happy Pride Month?
Yas, queen.
This is gonna be a very good night. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to the only channel that will have live coverage of the debate with a BRAINROT soundboard.
Each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements.
And after 5 minutes,
now, please welcome
they get one kiss.
The 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Sir, you're very quiet.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Working class people are still
Sir,
in
please
trouble.
speak up. ReactBot, please wake
And
him up.
We're going to make sure
I hate adulting.
We're going to make sure.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
What is
You
Trump
want-
doing?
All of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame.
Period.
What's all this then?
Look, we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single. And this guy just left it open.
Came along and killed three, and his administration killed an Al-Qaeda person, come in and hit.
We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, and because we
Sir,
don't have borders
what are you
anymore.
talking
Every
about?
state is now a border. At
Oh,
a
they
level
ate
that we've
with
never
that.
seen.
No,
We
they
call it
didn't.
migrant
Reactbot, they
crime.
didn't.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first, cause brain damage.
I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After
let's
you
go.
rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes.
Let me tell you about January 6th. We had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
What?
What happened to the United States' reputation
my
under this
God.
man's leadership
is horrible.
including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about.
What?
Where he goes after his political opponent because he
We're talking
can't
about
beat him
January
fair and
6th.
square.
His vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll not forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences. He didn't do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that there could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President
Whiner
Trump?
that he is.
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you
Oh
ought to
my
be ashamed
God.
of yourself. What you have done, how you've just ripped down Portland when they ripped down many other cities. You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Sir, we're talking
what
about
they've done
January
there
6th.
With the fires all over the
my
city. If I didn't
God.
bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed.
Oh my
When you
God.
look at, they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard.
they?
Heard that. They saw them coming and they left. They destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill.
But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir.
Did not say that. Yeah.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, Well, what are you talking about?
I didn't have sex with a porn star. Number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor,
Democrat.
high-ranking Democrats, appointed people.
E3 sucks this year. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think this is one of the better E3s. Reactbot, what are your thoughts so far? Shut up and take my money. Okay, well, it's free. Why is Trump smoldering?
The country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives. Will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police.
Oh my God. So the question was about climate change. What the skibbity riz is up with that guy? I don't know, Reactbot. I don't know.
We have the best
about climate change. He's talking about the police.
Maybe
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using
had H2O.
all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet,
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true.
I have the biggest heart on the stage, I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people.
I've not seen any indication of that. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way.
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline.
And by the way, American public has greater health.
The goat.
40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. And by the way, the other thing is, in a situation where we talk about education for black communities, I've raised...
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general.
Take a shot Trump, next time,
when he said
by the way.
The idea that we're going to be in a situation where the nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States.
By the way,
what would you do to make childcare more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired.
Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture.
Say the line.
He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care.
Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, what will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up,
God damn it. Bro moment.
So
Big bro moment. Trump answered the question impossible challenge.
The drugs pouring across the border. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot.
We bought the most incredible dog.
We were getting very low numbers. Very, very low numbers.
What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them. Both of them, as you know, we made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one. A real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions, he couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way.
This is amazing.
And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
Why are we talking about golf?
But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
Let's not act like children.
a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Oh, good question.
And
great question.
you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable.
Let's go.
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. If the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody, and I'll tell you something, I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation.
The question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might.
God,
Just
why are
I've
you
lost
talking
so
about
many
this
people,
war?
18
Genuinely
years
can't
old,
answer any
all
question he's
because of
asked.
if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will
Thank
you
you.
accept the
Thank
results
you.
of the election, regardless of who
Yes or
wins?
no?
Yes or no, please?
Yeah.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local. None. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I'll tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back.
This is one for the books, I'll tell you. The bloodlust is real. But let's check in with our very own ReactBot. ReactBot, what are your thoughts so far? If you could summarize what's been going on so far at this debate in like a sentence or two. What am I even watching? It's the it's the first presidential debate of 2024. If you don't know what you've been watching, then I can't help you. Someone in the chat said the golf off was insane. That was incredible. Them going back and forth like, he uses a 6 handicap. Actually, I use an 8 handicap. You can't even carry your own bag. That was incredible. We have presidential candidates debating their golfing skills. That is in itself an SNL bit. Like, why the f are you talking about goddamn golf?
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. This guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States.
Talk about his golf game.
What I did.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do, all he does is make our country unsafe.
That's the end of the debate. Those two old men, thank God, are finally free. Oh my God. That was tough, man. That was a tough debate to watch. I'll be honest. There were some buffering moments, and I'm not talking about the internet. Yikes, man. That was rough. And it's just like, I kept seeing spammed in the chat, we are so cooked. And I can't agree more, honestly. If these are the best two options that we got, then yeah, we're not in love with that. ReactBot, final thoughts. Man, it always be like that. It does. I don't like that. I don't like that either. I don't like that those are our only two options.
Daddy,